and you'll see how the chances will probably plummet once he gets. So he got ore, he got wheat, damn. Hey guys, Cesar here again. Part 2 of the Catan diagram. Last time we built our resources, our buildings, settlement, road, city, and interconnected them according to their costs. Today I want to show you how building those settlements and those cities actually helps you generate more resources. I'm gonna show you how those resources influence building more settlements and the feedback loop that we get from it. So let's get started. We're gonna pick up where we left off last time. Let me zoom in so we can better see. So that was the diagram where we stopped in the first part. I'm gonna get right into it. I'm gonna start showing you how to generate resources, or better chances to get resources based off those buildings. So the first thing I want to mention here is that I'll be doing things a little bit differently. The settlement ideally can be built around 3 tiles because the tiles are hexagonal, and the settlements and cities can only be built on edges. It's the most you can get out of a settlement is 3 tiles. The most you can get out of a city is also 3 tiles. So in this case I will assume that the player always finds those 3 tiles. Generally speaking, buildings can also be built on 2 tiles or only 1 if you're unlucky, because the map is limited, so you get to the edges at some point. So in this case though, I'm gonna assume the player always manages to find a 3 tile settlement. That's why I'll be generating 3 resources for each of those settlements or cities. There's another thing that will be different here. Cities which are built directly over settlements. So settlements act like this. If you have a settlement over 3 resource tiles, let's say over 1 wood, 1 brick, 1 sheep, and those have I don't know, numbers attached to them, 5, 9 and 10, and the brick has a 9 and you roll a 9 with the dice, then because you have a settlement there, you gain 1 brick. If there was a city there on those 3 tiles and you roll that 9, you would get 2 bricks. So what the city does is it effectively doubles the resources that the settlement gives. So in order to simulate that here, I would have to track each settlement individually and see what resources they provide, and double them if a city is built there. But that would be very, very space and time consuming, and honestly I think it would be boring for you guys and not really the point of this diagram. So what I'm going to do to speed things up a bit is instead of doubling the resources by the settlement, just add 3 more random resources to those chances that I will be explaining later. So it would be like actually building a new settlement. Building a city is like adding another settlement without deleting the old one, but in this case we will delete the old one in order to build the city. So that's how we're going to handle this. While I'm here, by the way, we're going to be distributing those resources randomly, but according to some chances, which will actually constitute the main point of balancing for this game. But I'm going to explain that in just a bit, because right now I want to talk about something else, which is, let me give you just a bit of an example here. So because I want to put multiple of those pools from the same node, I think it's time to show you our shortcuts. We actually have some shortcuts. So the most important ones that you want to remember are just when you have a node selected, double clicking on a node will connect it with a resource connection, and alt double clicking on a node, so double clicking while holding alt, will place it with a state connection from the last selected node. So there are variations to this depending on the direction you want. So double click is to the right, control double click is bottom, let's select this one again. Shift double click is up and Control Shift double click is left. And the same goes for the state connection ones. So Alt double click is state, Alt Control double click down, Shift Alt double click up, and all of the three is gonna place it to the left. Now, I'm not gonna insist too much on those. It does become helpful in situations like this, but for me, since I usually place a node and then have to drag it somewhere else anyway, only the fact that it's connected is important to me, that it comes already connected to it. So what I would take out of this is double click for a resource connection and Alt double click for a state connection, and then move them as you please. So actually that's how I'm going to be doing it here. So just double clicking and then moving it where I want it to be. I don't know if I should place it somewhere else, or is it good here? I think it's good. But I add something like this. I just remembered something, but I'm gonna first finish with this, and then and then I'm gonna add that as well. So let's first do it like I said earlier. Pools for each doesn't have to be very close to each other. It's actually better if you leave some space to not get confused later. We'll be adding those 5 pools for each individual resource. We're going to be keeping the order that we had above. So the first one, we're going to name it wood, the second one we're going to name it brick, and so on. Another thing that I want to mention before I forget, because I seem to have a fleeting memory, is that we will be coloring these as well according to those colors above, but I'm gonna do it later after I place all the elements that I want placed, because I don't want to repeat the coloring process. I want to do it once and be done with it. Let me drag those a bit so we can see them more clear. Alright, come on, brick and wood. So, thing is, before I continue with this, as I said, I remembered something I talked about in last video. There's also another thing you can buy with those resources, and I think we should implement it now. It's a development card. It's called a development card, which is a card that can have various effects. I think there are 6 effects in total. Not sure. And those 6 effects influence the game in one or another way, but since we are focusing on one single player here, there is only one particular card I'm interested in, and that is the victory point card. So out of the 25 cards, 5 of them are called victory point cards, which actually give 1 victory point to the player. As I said, the purpose of the game is to gather 10 points. So I will be focusing on those cards. The chance to get them is actually random, because you just pull from a deck that's facing upside down, so there's no way for you to control what you're gonna pull. So I'm gonna make this pull all, make it automatic, call it by its name, which is by development card. Okay, I typed it correctly, and maybe this one as well. Victory point, right? Of course, card. There's a C victory point card, where we're gonna be counting those points, maybe see those as numbers. So as I was saying earlier, there are 5 such cards out of a total of 25. So I'm gonna set the capacity to 5, although it's unlikely we will be getting 5 of those. And if you were to adjust this, 5 out of 25 normally means 20%, which is obvious. If you were to dynamically adjust these chances, because technically, if you would pull a victory card, let's say on the first pull you get a victory point, that means that there will be 4 cards left in a total of 24. So it would become a 1 in 6 chance, which is in 16.6% chance. So we should adjust them dynamically, but that would take some time and space, and I don't think this chance is actually that influential to the state of the game. So for the sake of saving space and time, I'm just gonna leave it 20%. It should be at a fair enough frequency. It should come up at a fair enough frequency. I don't about these arrows now. I kind of don't want them to intersect because they are pretty close to each other, and as you see, their intersections become quite annoying. Let me first adjust their thickness. So what I want to do is arrange them in a different manner, like so, and pull it something like this, and drag the label here so I know which one it belongs to. And now we're going to do the same for the other two. The connections leaving the or and the width, and always remember to drag the label to a convenient position so you know exactly to which connection it belongs to. Otherwise it could get really confusing. I've had it happen to me. It's not nice. It's so better safe than sorry. I'm gonna color these blue, and I'm gonna color this whole segment by it, as I've shown you in the previous video, just by selecting the first colored node. We then apply, and there we go. So this should take care of the development cards. Pretty simple. You just, once you have those 3, you buy it, and maybe you get the victory point if you're lucky. Alright, so back to the generating part. This one's going to be static because we're going to be triggering it when buying settlements and building cities. So if I talked about it, let's also implement it. Again, the settlement. This also helped me see that they are not perfectly aligned, because you saw the arrow wasn't perfectly straight, so we can pull it just a bit to the left. There we go. Gotta keep your eyes open for these. Let's also give it the settlements color. This little asterisk shouldn't influence us, so I'm just gonna leave it there. Won't bother moving it. See, now it's straight, so they are aligned. And color it according to cities. So, as I explained earlier, building a settlement and building a city will represent the same thing, which is basically adding another settlement worth of resources. As I said, the player will construct them in ideal places, so 3 of those resources. So this is the part where balancing comes in, because each player tends to play the game differently. It's also according to, are there enough available spaces, what style do you want to play, or whatnot. Thing is, those chances will probably reflect the speed at which the game is completed. So this is your best place where you want to try balancing stuff. Now I'm gonna make it a set chance based on my experience with playing the game, or how I find it to be the best way to play the game. Is that wood and brick, which are required both for roads and settlements, are quite valuable. Sheep, which are required for settlements and development card, which the development card I value the least out of all of these. So it's not that important, so it's basically only needed for settlement. I'm gonna value the sheep the least. And ore and wheat, which are required in larger quantities for cities, which are also late game structures that help you gain more resources, I'm going to value those two the most. So that's why I'm going to be giving a 20% chance to wood and brick for the player to build around those resources. A 10% chance for sheep only. Sorry, sheep. And for ore and wheat, we're going to be giving it 25%. Because In my opinion, they are the most important, but again, according to how you want to play the game, how you like to play the game, how you want it to be simulated, you can adjust this according to needs. Now, those sources are automatic. We're going to make them static because they won't be triggering each step. It's highly likely, especially in the early game, that you roll a dice and gain nothing from it. So we're actually going to be using some random gates to be triggering them. Which will be triggering them like this, based off chances, and those chances will be 0% because those chances will be influenced by those pools. I'm gonna also show you one quick thing afterwards because it's quite an interesting thing to keep in mind. Let's just make this automatic 0%. We're gonna have to do this 5 times. I'm not gonna copy paste because it's just a node and a connection, and it's actually gonna be more of a hassle to copy paste it than just build it from scratch. So I'm just gonna build it from scratch. 0% all the way. With the way that I build those connections, I foresee in the near future a problem with some arrows, but we're gonna see if I'm right about that or not. And the last one, same as before. I want to also mention another quick thing. So normally I'd color all of these, I've said earlier, according to the respective colors, so I don't get confused. But coloring all of these is going to take some time now. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to do it between this video and the next one. When the next video starts, those will be colored with the corresponding colors, so don't worry about it. But I'm not going to waste your time watching me color some stuff here. That's not what's important. So I want to show you one thing now. So the wood, this is a chance. Oh, also, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. Thing is, the player starts with 2 settlements. Ideally, you want to place those settlements so that you cover each of the 5 resources, because in a single player scenario that we are playing here, and with the only development card being a victory point card and not some type of cards that give you resources, basically the only way you are going to generate resources is through your settlements and cities. So I'm gonna have the player build at least one of each, a settlement on at least one of each tile. That's why with 2 settlements, where we get 6 resources from the start, I'm gonna be fair about it. I'm just gonna give 2 to the first one I see, which is wood, and 1 to the rest of them. So they should total 6, and each resource should have a chance of being generated. Now, what I want to show you here is what would happen if I were to connect this pool to this one and give it a plus 10% chance, because that's how I'm going to treat this. Is those will basically be how many resources do my settlements and cities cover, and the more they cover, the higher the chance that you can actually generate 1 resource. Of course, this won't be true in the case of cities, which would normally generate 2, but giving a higher chance of generating 1 resource is, in my opinion, and for the purpose of this diagram, will be the same as having a lower chance of generating more resources. It should even out in time and on multiple executions. So I don't think it should be a concern for us. So how I'll be treating it is each tile of that resource that is available would give us a 10% chance. So as we would start with 2 tiles, we should be having 20%, right? But the thing is, it's 0. And why is it 0? This is because of the way state connections handle those kind of things. The thing is, state connections originating from pools only account from the changes made since the diagram started executing. So for instance, if I were to somehow generate 1 wood and place it into that pool, then it would grow the chance by 10%. So we would be having 3 resources here, but only a 10% chance. And decreasing it would decrease 10%, so on and so forth. Let me show you. If I drain this pool now, let's just place this drain and just drain 1 resource, you're gonna be seeing the chances drop, actually. See? minus 20, because it handles the changes since the beginning of execution. So that's why we can't do it straight from a pool. We have to use a register first, because registers can actually be taken into account before the execution of the diagram. If you were to do it like this, like so, make it less thick, drag the 10% here, and just give this value to the register. Give it as an A and have it display as an A. See, 20% now. All nice, all good. He got really lucky with the first 3 rolls actually. So that's what we're gonna have to do for each and every one of them. I'm just gonna use the state connections and the resources A for each of them, because it's pointless to give other names when they basically do the same thing. Let me zoom out for a bit. There we go. Now this is gonna be tricky. Connecting to this is gonna be tricky, but luckily I am very trained with this kind of stuff. There we go. Drag the +1, make it a +10. Now, as much as I'm going to bore you, because I want to actually show you how it executes, after this I'm going to have to ask you to bear with me here while I connect these. I promise you in time I will become faster, but right now I'm pretty obsessed with the arrangements, and that's eating a lot of my time. There we go. Another one, drag it here. Please drag it here. Okay, always ask nicely. +10%, we have 1 point of thickness. Okay, 2 more to go. We're almost there. Again, A, state. Now, okay, I did it. Nice. State, 1 thickness. Normally, if I weren't filming this, I'd actually try to arrange those connections as well so they perfectly fit each other, but I'm gonna have mercy on you guys. I'm not gonna subject you to this torture, and I'm not gonna subject myself to this torture. Just lucky for you, sorry, there's a sneak peek of my library. Not very populated. +10%, drag it here, thickness 1. And there we go. Name this one A as well. I skipped that. So the coloring will be handled in the next video. What I want to do now when ending is show you a quick simulation, see how this goes. So we are generating resources at a pretty slow step. It's the beginning of the game. The player isn't really getting much of anything. He's racking up that ore though, which is quite nice for him. Brick, we should have a road. Good. I want to wait until we build a city, so you can see how the resources change, but he just doesn't want to get wheat. Let me try another run. Maybe he gets luckier this time. If not, I'll just adjust the rates according to our needs. He just doesn't want to get wheat. Okay, well, he got one, but this is taking too long, so I'm just gonna adjust these rates here pretty quick now. Make it a 50 and a 50. And you'll see how the chances will probably plummet once he gets. So he got ore, he got wheat, damn. And he built a city, there we go. Now he got those resources, the chances increased. He cannot build any more cities because he's out of settlements, as we settled last time. He did buy a development car. The thing is, because there are multiple dependencies on these connections, it actually waits until it has 2 resources in each pool before pooling, which I think it's quite alright. This shouldn't be a problem. That's because those pools are needed for multiple of those nodes. But we're not gonna just stand now and build a resource for every individual one. Having one resource in the pool is fine. So yeah, let me just quickly adjust this, but it should be done for today. You see how buying those buildings increases your chances to get more resources, and you can build more buildings and so on and so forth. In the next video, I'm gonna talk about the dependencies between these buildings, and it's gonna be a short video in terms of construction, but a very important video when I'm gonna stress out the importance of having registers and how to efficiently use them. And we're gonna wrap up the whole thing, run it a bit and see how it acts. So thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next time with a better looking diagram, more color one, and yeah, see you.